Hello, today we're doing a strength workout with weights. You will need 2 sets of weights, one lighter, one heavier, and a good rule of thumb if you're just starting out to go with like 2s and 5s. If you've been doing this for a while, maybe 5s and 8s, but we'll be doing lunges, some shoulder work, some bicep curls, so you will need an arrangement. Bands you can also use, however, I will not be showing with bands, as personally I find them uncomfortable when I'm exercising barefoot. And yes, you should really use shoes if you're lifting weights. Again, personal preference, I don't, but I'm willing to take the risk, and I have broken my toes before. So do what you need to. If you're just starting out, you probably should use tennis shoes with this. And this is Mickey behind me. She's going to be helping me out today. She is also not wearing shoes because she prefers to work out barefoot as well. So do what you want, just stay safe always. What we're going to have is about 7 actual exercises and then some stretch time. You will not be doing that many reps, so you do want to kind of make sure that the weights that you choose have you worn out by the end of it. We're not going by time, we're just going by repetitions. Only do as many as you feel comfortable doing. If you feel, I like to think of a happy challenge. If you feel like it's getting to where it's not fun anymore, then you're getting beyond your abilities at that moment for whatever reason. You know, no pressure here, no challenge, or no guilt here. For whatever reason, you're hitting your limit, and that's when I want you to stop. Every day you will get stronger as long as you're wise and mindful about what your body can and can't do at that moment. So to get started, you always want to be a little bit warmed up. So we'll just do a real quick routine of actually the movements that we'll be doing later with weights. So to start out then, we'll do some lunges. We're going to start with our right leg forward. In a moment we'll do this with weights. For now we're not. So we're coming down. When we come down, the back leg might bend a little. That's okay. Front leg bends, never beyond the front ankle. And then the arms come up. We're just going to press it up a little bit. If you lose your balance, oh well, no big deal. So just a couple here, and then we'll switch to the other side. And again, get in position, starting arms low, first shoulder press, and then lift up. Keep it fun. I don't have music on right now because you can't hear me if I have music playing. All right, let's go ahead and come forward. We'll do a couple of lunges, or squats. So with our feet about hip-width apart, we're going to go back that direction like we're sitting down. We're coming down, and then with this movement, we're going to end up adding some lifts with our arms. So the arms are going to come out to the side. She can show. Okay, there you go. So the arms come out when we come up. We'll just do a couple like that. It's amazing how much easier it is without weights. All right, now we're going to turn to the side of the mat. We are going to end up having some plies. So plie position has our hips above, the knees and toes always pointing the same direction. And then we just kind of slide down. If I was against a back wall, my back would slide right down. That's the idea, or ideal. And we just kind of work towards that. If you're not there yet, that's not a big deal. So you're sliding down the wall. And then with this one, we'll end up having rows. So arms are down, and then they lift up. Down, and up. Down, and up. So let's go ahead and come back together. Shake it out. We'll also do a couple of other things, but at this point, you're probably already warmed up enough to start. I know I am. Okay, so our first one, our actual exercise, are the lunges. We're going to start with our right leg forward. And for this one, since we're doing shoulder press, she's going to start with 8s. I'm going to start out with these little tiny baby weights. 2s. So we're going to have a nice wide stance. And then since we're starting out in our lunge, to make sure that we're in a safe lunge position, our back leg is going to be slightly bent, and then the front knee is going to be slightly bent, either right behind or on top of the front ankle. Arms come out to the side, and the elbows, you really don't want them to be really low. You want them to actually be shoulder height. So then you come down, and then you press it up, like you're trying to put something up on a shelf. Press up. We're doing 6 each side. So that's your 4. you wobble, that's okay. And now we're switching sides. So step forward and switch sides. So if you have a lot of issues with wobbling, then by all means put on your tennis shoes. Go ahead. So she's going up, pressing up. We're using the back muscles right here, so we're not trying to use our shoulders. It's called a shoulder press, but we're using our back. That's 3. Good. She's so easy to work with. All right, go ahead and shake out those shoulders. Set the weights down. Little forward fold here. Just make sure you're still enjoying what you're doing. Remember, if exercise isn't fun, honestly, don't do it. I know that's not what you want to hear from a fitness person, but this movement is all about mobility and enjoyment. It's not about getting to a certain level. So you got to find the exercise that you like doing that's safe for your body. So hopefully that's what this is. Anyway, our next movement is going to be our plies with the front row. So front row, maybe try the thighs. Is that what we do with that one? Awesome. Okay, so that's a full plie. We're coming down here. We'll start in our plie because we want to get into that position to make sure that our foot placement is correct. Then once we're here, our arms are straight in front, and we lift up and do our row at that time. And down. 2, 3, 4. She can continue. That's 5. Good. 6. Going up to 10. So the only thing we really want to watch is that the knees are not caving in too much. If you feel like they are, don't try to go down as low. Good. All right, so that was already 10. It's amazing how quickly it goes by. Water's over there if you need it. Next, we have squats. People have a love-hate relationship with squats, but honestly, we have to squat every time we sit down, so we may as well know how to do it right. So, you want to grab weights. These are your lateral raises, so you want the 3s for that. I'll use the 2s. And we'll stagger this way. I'm going to step forward. Awesome. So with our squats, we've got a nice hip width apart with our feet. We're going to have a nice tall spine, and as we bend our hips so that we can lower down, our upper body always stays in the same position. There's no caving or arching, okay? So we're bending at the hips, we're using that as our pivot point. We come down, our weights beside, lift up with the back of the legs, and then the arms come out. They come down, then we lower the legs, coming all the way up and out. So that's 3. We're going to do 10 to 12. We'll let her take as long as she needs to. But remember, we want to make sure we complete one part of the movement before we do the other. 5. Nice. And she's doing a great job of keeping her back alignment. Watch out when you're doing these about your knees. If your knees are wanting to come in, that's just a sign that your hips are still having trouble holding the knees in place. So you want to really press down with the feet to help control that. How many is that then? 12. Awesome. She is done. All right, go ahead and set those down. Next, we have a very fun one. They're called Renegade Tricep Kickbacks. A renegade position traditionally isn't a full plank position. This would be your renegade. Anytime it says renegade, this is what they mean. However, most of us really aren't ready to go there, so I prefer to start here at the knees and in a half plank position with knees wide, hands and wrists beneath your shoulders so you're nice and stable. Hips are down so they're not falling to the floor like you're in kind of half cobra. They're not sticking up like you're on your hands and knees. The hips are neutral and you have a straight line from knees to head. So then from here, you grab your weight, starting with the right arm up, lock that elbow into the side, and then you're doing tricep kickbacks. So we're going to try for 10 per side. Yes, looking really nice there. 5, halfway on one side already. 7. This is her harder side. Yep, awesome, because she is right-handed, so that means she was just using her dominant hand to use the weight instead of holding her up. So this side's going to be easier for her, and everybody has the dominant side. Good. So make sure when you're doing this that you're not rotating your entire body, because that's the tendency, towards the resting side. Good. The elbow stays locked in so that you can isolate the triceps right here, which in this case is right here. All right, go ahead and let's set it down. Speed is going to make a difference. The slower you go, the more work it will take to get that muscle to move. The faster you go, the more momentum. So it's up to you to decide whether you want to do a few more reps and have a little momentum help you, or whether you want to go really slow and have less momentum. It's all up to how you feel right now. So anywhere in any of these, 10 to 12 is a good number. More than 15 means that you need to bump up your weight. Less than 8, if you can't do more than 8 at a time on any of these, that means you need to lower your weight. Okay, then next we have lunges with our bicep curls. So we're going to stand back up with these. Bicep curl, you could do an 8 or a 5, it's up to you. Okay, so I love having a lot of weights, and the nice thing is once you purchase them, if you set them aside, you don't have to ever worry about whether you need to get rid of them. Nothing will happen to them. So I've had most of these weights for years and years, and I just keep slowly adding to the group. It's very handy. Now, lunges. We're going to go reverse lunge, which means we step back into our lunge. We're going to alternate our legs. So it'll be right leg, then left leg, right, left. We're adding a bicep curl. The bicep curl is going to come when we're down in our lunge with our elbows locked into the side, and then we're lifting up into that bicep curl. Then we lower the hands, back down to the side, and step up out of the lunge. So here we go. Right foot back first. So we take our right foot back, and you might have to step really far back in order to get down into your lunge. Try to get a right angle in both legs, then the arms come down, elbows locked to the side, palms face the ceiling, and lift. All the way down, and then step forward. That's one. Now we alternate. 2, good. You will have, if you're barefoot, much greater chance of wobbling. So that's 3 each side already. We're going for 10 to 12, so that would be 5 to 6 each side. But wobbly feet means that you're having to strengthen your feet, so that's also a good thing. Good. Is that your 10 now? And she's going down, and she's working real hard. She's going into her lunge before she does the bicep curl. Very important, because we want safety first. Nice. Awesome, go ahead, set it up. Feels okay? Awesome. All right, our last round here, it's a sequence of 2, but they're both abs, so we're coming down to our mats. So for our abs, we're going to do ab crunches and then some oblique twists. Ab crunches means we need to be back on our backs, feet flat on the floor, so they're anchoring to the floor. Hips are flat on the floor, knees are bent, and then the hands come behind our heads. And here's the key. With a crunch, you want to make sure that your back is glued to the floor at all times, especially when you lift. The tendency is to arch the back, and all you did was to put the pressure in your neck and take it away from your abs, which you want. So we're going to press the glutes down, and then we're going to lift our shoulder blades up off the floor, and you can feel the tightening here. If you touch your stomach, you want to be able to feel tightening, and then you lower down again. So with these, you're going to do 10 to 12 on these. It's not a big movement, and So don't expect it to be some big dramatic thing. It's not a sit-up, which means your whole body is coming up. These are small, controlled movements. But they are amazing for your core. Good? Awesome. Okay, then from here, we're going to just kind of sit up so that we have, like we're going into a boat pose in yoga. If you do yoga with me, you'll know a boat pose. So you're sitting on about your tailbone, but make any adjustments that you need to. You might have to roll your pelvis just a little bit if you have a bony tailbone. From here, you're going to grab a weight, straighten the back so you have a nice tall back, lengthen even your neck so that you feel like your head is lifting up. And then from there, bring the weight in front of you, and then you're just going to twist gently towards the right, back to center, to the left. 10 each side. So you can see she's using a heavier weight. And the heavier the weight, the better, provided you keep those knees together, glued together, and the feet on the floor. If you notice the knees wobbling back and forth, that means that you're trying to shift too much weight and your core is just not quite strong enough yet. Very nice. I love the knee placement. There's always going to be a little bit of movement because you're shifting your whole body. Good. How close are you there? 20? Awesome. Go ahead and set it down. Feeling it in your core? Awesome. Perfect. That's what we want. We don't want to spend a lot of time doing this. So let's go ahead and come back on our backs. We're already finished with our weighted workout. Stretching the arms and the feet as far apart as possible. Taking a breath. And you know me from yoga, I always take time to breathe. So let's lift those legs up, hands behind our thighs, helping us to roll up. And then we're going to lower the knees, coming to hands and knees, coming towards the front of our mat, and we're just going to bring our right foot forward. So we're coming into a kneeling lunge. You might have to walk that back foot back a little bit, and that's totally okay. That just varies from person to person depending on their hip flexibility. And then we're just pressing down. So we're trying to loosen up that front right here. When we did our lunges, when we did our squats, it was tightening up this muscle right here, and we don't want that to constantly stay tight. It will cause trouble. So we want to loosen that up. If you're not feeling it there, you can always try lifting that back foot. Again, depending on foot flexibility, you might have to, and that's totally fine. So, stretching it, and then we're going to slowly straighten that front leg, bring the weight back, and stretch it. So now the weight is balanced on this leg. If you don't feel it balanced, then you look at the back leg. If you have a right angle in that back leg, it will feel balanced with the weight, so you won't feel any strain on your kneecap. All right, let's go ahead and switch legs. So bring the weight forward. And just enjoy it. What you did was not easy. That was work. I'm sure Mickey will vouch for me right now. It was work. And again, lift that back foot if you need to for more stretching your hip flexor. And also for a challenge to your balance. It's a happy challenge. See, I'm still smiling. All right, let's go ahead and lower that back foot. If it was raised, straighten that front foot. That is personally what I do. Anytime I'm exercising, if I can't smile through it, then I know that I've pushed beyond my abilities that day. And that's when I slow down or I hold off. So I always make sure I can smile through it, that it's a happy challenge. Enjoying again the stretch. You might feel this in your calf, in your hamstring, in your knees, even sometimes in your ankles. If you're really pulling that foot up towards the sky, the toes that is, if you're flexing your foot, you will feel it there. All right, let's go ahead and straighten or bend that front knee. Bring the back foot forward. Hands to your hips, come up with a flat back. Stretch it up with your arms. We did shoulder work, so let's go ahead and bring our arms behind us, rolling the shoulders up and back, allowing lots of open space in that rib cage, and pulling those arms back. And this does really feel good. Always breathing, and then release those arms. The right arm comes up, bends at the elbow, right hand touches the back, and then just pull that back, that shoulder. You might feel the stretch all the way down the side of the rib cage, which will feel really good after those oblique twists. And then switch sides. Now I have heard some people call this a tricep stretch. I personally never feel it in the tricep. So even if it's recommended to do it for your triceps, if you don't feel it there, then don't use it for your triceps. You'll have to find a different method depending on your arms. The best way to stretch is to know what you're trying to stretch and then adjust, make body adjustments in order to get that stretch. Let's go ahead and interlace the fingers up to the sky. Take another breath and then release the arms gracefully down to the side. And you're done. Hope you had fun. And we have the other strength workout with this series is going to be body weight only. So that's a very different type of strength training, but it's also very effective, and it's great to interweave the two. So see you next time.